My name's Robert Simpson, and I'll be talking to you guys about my trip to Berlin. So the first day we got to our hostel via the U-Bahn line, and right outside of our hostel we could see the TV tower, which is the largest building in Europe. It's taller than the Eiffel Tower, taller than the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Believe it or not, it is the tallest building. After seeing the TV tower, we went over to the flea market that they were having that day. They have a flea market every Sunday, which is pretty neat, and we saw some people doing some neat graffiti on a wall there. This is not the Berlin Wall that you normally think of. We'll get to that later, but it was. This is the actual flea market itself. It was pretty crowded that day. There were booths everywhere. It was a massive flea market throughout the entire of Mauer Park in Berlin, which is kind of like their Central Park. And it was really neat. You could buy all kinds of things from clothes, shoes. You could buy all kinds of souvenirs. Pretty much anything that you could think of, jewelry, pictures, anything. It was. At the flea market, they also had a couple different acts doing things like there were people doing beatboxing, and there was a drum circle, which was interesting. And then also, along with that, there were people doing karaoke. I did not participate because I can't sing. But there were some good singers and some not good singers, but it was all very entertaining. So the second day, we got up and we went on a walking tour of Berlin. The first thing we saw was this 12th century church, which is called St. Mary's Church. It is one of the only buildings to survive the bombings during World War II. Over the centuries, it's been rebuilt, parts of it. As you can see, the tower of the church is a different color than the rest of it. That's because that tower was built at a more modern time, probably around the 15th or 16th century. But a good amount of the church is original from the. So here we have a view of some very beautiful flowers that we saw, as well as one of the oldest Protestant cathedrals in the world. And it's unique because it is a Protestant cathedral, not a Catholic. This here is the Neptune Fountain. It's a very famous fountain, and along with, you see Neptune in the middle there, along with him, there are four mermaids on the outside that all represent the four major rivers of Germany. Here's another view of that St. Mary's Church and the Protestant Cathedral. You can see the TV tower is right there next to St. Mary's Church, so we were very close to just about everything, which was. Next, we saw Museum Island, which is one of the largest collections of museums in the world. It's actually made up of 5 different museums, which is pretty neat. The museum in the picture is the Egyptian. Next, we saw this statue, which was very sobering. It was the memorial to the victims of war and tyranny. And it's just this statue of a woman in a shawl kind of holding her child. And it's in this big kind of dark area. There's not a whole lot of light. I had to brighten the picture so that you could see it. And there's a lot of negative space there, so it's a very haunting image and a reminder of some of Berlin and Germany's history. This was a memorial to the books that were burned by the Nazis. This was right outside one of the colleges in Berlin at the site where the Nazis did their big book burning. And in the picture on the right, if you can see, those are empty shelves representing the estimated 20,000 books that were burned here. This is a picture of Brandenburg Gate, which was built as the entrance of the road to Brandenburg, which was a city during the Holy Roman Empire, which tells you how old that is. I didn't feel it was appropriate to put a caption here, but this is the memorial to the murdered Jews of Europe. This here was one of the more touching parts of Berlin for me. It's made up of all of these cement blocks, and the artist never really said exactly what it's supposed to signify, but as you can see, as you get farther into these blocks, they get taller and taller, and you have kind of this dark, enclosed, almost claustrophobic feeling to it, where you can't really find your way out. And it was meant to symbolize kind of the plight of the Jewish people as the the actions by the Nazis got worse and worse, eventually leading to all the concentration camps and everything that went along with that. Their situation got worse, and really kind of got chills going through this. And here's the former headquarters of the Nazi Party. This has also been used in a lot of films, just kind of to illustrate, well, of course, in old World War II movies, but also just illustrate kind of evil itself and just kind of the. Here is Checkpoint Charlie and the Berlin Wall. Checkpoint Charlie was one of the largest checkpoints along the Berlin Wall, where people could get in between East and West Germany. And then, of course, here's some of the remnants of the Berlin Wall, which came down during the Ronald Reagan era. And some of it's still standing, but it's a very, very small portion of it. Here's the Reichstag building, which is the German Parliament building. We'll see a little bit more of that in the next slide. And then here's the memorial to the gypsies who the Nazis also took into concentration camps during World War. So here's the top of the Reichstag building. The Reichstag building has this huge ornate dome on the top, which is really cool. In the picture on the right, you're kind of seeing the middle of the dome as it comes up and goes down around as a dome. And then the picture on the left is a view from the top, just seeing the German flag and seeing some of the city. On the left is Berlin Central Station, which was the major train station in Germany. This is where we came in and out, and we also took it to get back to there were different U-Bahn stops in the station, so we could use that to get back to our hostel as well. And then on the right here was the schnitzel that we had during our university dinner at this place called Schnitzele, and it was delicious. This is the president's residence, kind of like their White House, and we saw it from the boat cruise that we took, which was really fun. Pictures from our boat cruise. We actually missed the first boat that we were supposed to take, but fortunately there was another boat that was coming like half an hour later, which was good because we missed the boat by about 2 minutes. We kind of watched it sailing away, kind of cried a little on the inside, but there was another boat cruise, so we did get to take our cruise. And then the last thing we did in Berlin is we finished with a visit to the Berlin Philharmonic, which there was a very beautiful playing from a piano player and a cello artist. So that was just really cool. And overall, our trip to Berlin was amazing. I enjoyed every second of it.